Hello and welcome to Greet the Week. I am Mona Duncan, and it is a delight to have you here with us today. Um, for the next few weeks, I will be sharing what I taught and how I related with the prisoners at the Comprehensive Sanction Center that was locally entitled the Fresh Start Center. And these residents, inmates, would be with us anywhere from 6 months to a year. And during that time, we were uh, mandated to teach them what the federal prison system had not taught them. And my instructor would say that, I mean, the head of that department would say that again and again, that we were to teach them what they hadn't been taught the other time during their incarceration. But the thing of it is that the sanction center, the way it worked is, now kitty, you need to be still. The anyone, we as Americans especially, have been given this, we have our civil rights. And so a person's civil rights cannot be taken away from them, because that is given to us by God, given to us by our Constitution, given to us by a free will. And so the civil rights cannot be taken, even when a person is in prison, meaning that we, the people, have said that they need to go to prison. As a matter of fact, I have here, well, their civil rights. But whenever they have been in, a convict has been in prison for a while, and they have begun to give some behaviors that look as though they are, going to be a good citizen again, in order for them to be released a little earlier, they can be sent to a comprehensive sanction center. And during that time, in order for them to be released there, they're still the property of the federal prison system. But in order for them to be released there, they have to agree to certain guidelines, such as weekly classes, weekly counseling, getting a job and going to work every day, and managing your money, not only knowing how, but putting some money away in the bank so that whenever you are released, you will have a way to be able to rent, being able to go to certain things in the community that would help them to reconnect with family and, be back in civilization again. And so today I'm going to pretend that I am working with one of the residents that has just arrived, and kind of telling them about how that in our department we operate things. And I have given him the fictitious name of River Crossing, knowing how that it is fictitious. And so I have shook hands with River, and welcomed him to the Sanction Center, and to how he will be involved with what is my job at the center. And I will bring up to the fact and invite him to have a seat and make himself comfortable. And I will bring up the fact and asking him about how it affected him when he received a document stating boldly, "We, the people of the United States versus River Crossing." And then having all kinds of "we hereby proclaim," and giving and helping this individual to realize that although there is no way I can understand your frustrations or your feelings or what you've been going through, it is to help you see that here, our goal here is to help you learn that there's laws, there's rules, there are guidelines, and that in those rules and those guidelines, in everything in life, there are effects, there are outcomes, there are consequences, and that some of those consequences are good and some of those consequences turn out to be not so good. And so while you are here, you will be required to attend the class I give every week. And I give them this. I'm going to be emailing this to each of you. I give them this little piece of paper, and then we sit and talk about it for a few minutes. So in the process, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my PowerPoint, share the screen so that we can talk about this.
Amona,
Yes.
how old is River?
Oh, he is anywhere from 18 to 65 to 85. That's the oldest one that we ever had there.
Okay.
Yes, it's an adult that, you know, has been out on their own. That sometimes we are going through life and we're just motoring along. We're doing what comes naturally. And I need you to know that I personally have been greatly influenced by my cultural upbringing. I was reared on a farm, and I believe in the Trinity. I am my own person. And the God that I believed in as a child is still the same God that I believe in today. But I need you to know that that God is so much different today than the one that was always out there to get me and to fix me today. It's the same, but kinder. And then there's also been not only my upbringing and my family and cultural ways of growing, I've also been greatly influenced by a lot of psychologists, namely Carl Jung, Dr. William Glasser and choice theory, Viktor Frankl and logos theory, and Albert Ellis. But the way that I teach and the way that I see life now continually changes, and I'm always open for the mystery of life. Because although we see things, and there's only a certain way that any information can get into us for us to see it, through the gates of our senses, that the things I teach and the way I see now, whether you agree or disagree with it, I'm okay with it either way. But my goal is not to teach you what to do or how to do or what to think, but to teach you how to think and to maybe expand your horizon so that you can see things that you weren't willing to look at and see before. And so any concept, I'm always wanting to look for what is light as opposed to heavy. I'm always wanting to look at what is light as opposed to dark, as to what is open and expanding as opposed to what is eerie and what is confining and what is scary. I want to look at things that I want to respond to things that is in a way that is kind, as opposed to being rude, as opposed to being punishing, realizing that there are consequences, and that even the prison system, the justice system, that there is it's to see how we took something and it became an error, and how that we can correct our errors so that it becomes more wholesome. So it's looking at the fact that we're just motoring along, and ouch, something happens. Life is not going as we had originally planned, as we had thought it would. And so something gives. You have been sent to prison, and now you're here at a Fresh Start Center, and we're wanting to help you to obtain that fresh start. And so we are motivated. We have this internal, and it's an internal thing. And that another word for it could be we are inspired to do things, or there's something inside of us that is a driving force, that we have this enthusiasm, that there's something, the things that we see, the things that we engage with, that it strikes an accord with us. It's like, yeah, I want more of that. And that we gain this information, this motivation through either pleasure or to avoid pain. Look at the fact that while you're here, I'd like you to know that I have 7 points here to go over. And point number 1 is that, River, all of us, we are more alike than we are different. And I have the little graphic here of the different colored hands and the different things that we could go through, but we're more alike than we are different. And that likeness of us is that all of us have these basic needs. We have the need to survive, to keep on breathing, to have food. We have a need to love and belong, to be a part of, to fit in. We have a need for power or purpose, or why am I on planet Earth? What am I here for? Are you here for, what am I here for? We have a need to have fun and to enjoy, to laugh, to be glad that we are here on planet Earth. And we have a need for freedom, a need to make our own choices, and a need to feel good about those choices. So point number 2 is that we have these needs, and they're internal, and they're always gnawing at us to have them fulfilled. And we decide yes or no based on the pleasure-pain syndrome. Because like a moth to a flame, we are driven to success. And we want as much pleasure and happiness and gold and diamonds and good things as we can possibly get, while at the same time trying to avoid as much pain and heartache and failure and being locked up and being misunderstood as we possibly can. So point number 3 is that we're always behaving. And all we do is behave. And we're behaving either goodly or maybe not so goodly. So this is a crash course in choice theory. And choice theory says that that everything that happens is internal. We have that need to survive, and part of survival is eating. But we are not self-generating. We can't just sit here and through the air like the trees and the rain and everything that the trees and the flowers, they're self-generated. They can reach out with roots and grab hold of what they need. But we have to take something that is external and bring it internally, and it's our behavior. In our behavior, there's only 5 gates through which any information can get internally to us. And it's through the thoughts we think, the actions that we take, the feelings that we have, and our physiology, our body. And our total behavior, and what I believe about people in general, is that people are basically good. That there is no one that has a vision board of doing bad. Or at least they don't consider it bad initially. And that everything we do, all of our behavior is for a purpose. And that purpose is to get a need met. Whatever that need may be. Whether it's the survival, the power, the fun. And that each individual is doing the best that he can in the moment. In the moment. But sometimes as we stop and think about it, we look back on it later and say, oh, I could have done better. I could have done something else. But the thing of it is that we're always living only in the moment, this second right here, right now. And so we're doing the best we can in the moment. And I'm suggesting that you were doing the best that you could with all the pressure that was on you, with all of the temptation, with all of the needing to be a part of the crowd, needing to be a part of your gang. In the moment, even though there may have been an inward message from your wisdom heart saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, the other things are speaking so loudly that in the moment you did something that you thought would be beneficial in the long run, whether it turned out to be or not. And that the individual always wants to improve, and that we can learn better ways to meet our needs. That the individual must learn new behavior in relevant context. And then that in relevant context is very, very important, because you have agreed to come here to the Sanction Center, and therefore you have agreed to take the classes that I will be presenting. And it's in that relevant context where it takes it out of being with, it's where it becomes, where you can look at it, where how all of the, where you can look at it like Sudoku, that all of the numbers have to go in a certain order for them to turn out and be correct. And it's looking at the fact that there are no failures, only lessons. And as we can see it, that it is a lesson that I'm learning, and boy, is there a lot of information to learn. Point number 4 is that all we can ever give or ever receive is information. And that information, we are very sensual people, and that can get us in big trouble, or it can keep us on a healthy path. The only way this information can get into our brain is through our senses. There's 5 gates: what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, and what we touch. And that touching is not only as in reaching out to touch, it's not only the external, it's also the internal. It's things that touch us. You know, and our whole body is filled with touching. We can feel those touches, and we need each other. We need each other. I know I had one guy that just vowed and declared he did not need anybody. And I said, well, you know what? I think if nothing else, you need an audience. But we do need people. And there's an African proverb that says, with Netanbu was the way, if I'm pronouncing it, Netanbu, an African proverb that means without community, we are nothing. And sometimes back and looking at those needs that we have, that power and purpose, sometimes we use that power and purpose destroying community. And without community, we are nothing. And the information that we receive is often conflicting. We often receive information that we think, oh, that sounds true, but it turns out not to be. That sounds good, that sounds effective, but it turns out not to be. And so, point number 5 is that we come to our own conclusions through self-evaluation. We come to what we will do or will not do. We come to through saying yes or saying no through what we want to do. Now, it doesn't always turn out the way we wanted it to. And so that pressure, when we're under it, that pressure becomes discriminatory, and we want to fight back. But as we can learn, the things that we'll be looking at in the classes, as we can begin to learn that there's always pressure on us, and that pressure becomes moot point whenever we begin to balance our life out of our activities, that we work and we move and we stretch and we walk and we take various things that we like to do and want to do, and we balance them out with inactivities of Sabbath and rest and meditation and sleep and reevaluation and vacations, so that we are in balance with what we do, with what we have, and back here with who we are. So not only the doing and the having, but the being as to who we are. And so the answers, point number 6, is that the answers are within. You know what you need to do if you'll think about it, if you'll really look for it. Because although we have an ego mind, we have a wisdom heart that is always communicating with us. And anytime you went along with the crowd, and even though there may be a lot of high-fiving and a lot of congratulating of the, oh boy, you're in with us now, you felt this little, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? Because your body was telling you the truth. Your body was saying, I don't know. And so as we are always asking and truthfully answering ourselves, is what I'm doing drawing us closer together or driving us further apart? Are my thoughts bringing me success or adding to my failures? Are my actions setting me free, or is it keeping me locked and loaded? And so one of my psychiatrist, Dr. William Glasser, came up with and identified connecting habits and disconnecting habits. And so as you begin to continually evaluating this, which one am I using? And how's it helping or how's it hurting? And then also to realize that you do have to do it yourself. No one can do it for you. It's a do-it-yourself job. But you do not have to do it alone. We're here for you. This Sanction Center is here. This Fresh Start Center. Even in prison, they were there for you. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. But that's not to say that everyone was exceptionally kind. Hopefully they were, but you do have to do it yourself. But there's people that are here for you that you cannot even know that aren't there for you. Your family definitely is, at least parts of them. There may be some that have kicked you out of their home so that they didn't have to kick you out of their heart. The staff is here for you. The employers are here for you. There's a multitude of people. The universe is for you. You don't have to do it alone. So, think you can do it? Well, I think you can. So that's the things I share or did share with the residents, with the inmates. I always called them residents, as they came in. And we'll be looking at some of the classes and some of the concepts that they were being taught. In the meantime, thank you for being here. And as I always would say to my residents as we were finishing, think you can do it? Well, I think you can. So until next week, I'm going to stop the recording, and many blessings.